This video is all about my tool called Steph's Make Your Own Index. In fact, I'm going to expand this chart. This is my tool right here. You can see these brackets here. We can click them. You can see the code that has gone into this tool. So you can see how it's calculated, how it works, and how the graph is constructed. Now, you can go modify this and check it out yourself, but please remember to credit me. It's open source. It's free. It's just the right thing to do to make sure that you give someone proper attribution for something that they've created. Now, as you can see, I've got these 10 symbols listed here to the left. You can see Apple, Tesla, Google. I can see their price at this very moment. And all of these 10 symbols are being added up and placed in this line right here in front of your eyes. So I'm watching an aggregate of these 10 symbols as one chart. Now I can double click on this line to really access my Make Your Own Index tool. So if you're interested in tracking specific stocks in your portfolio, well, you can do exactly this. Just follow the directions in this video, go ahead and get my Make Your Own Index tool and start to track the index by adding in the symbols you want and their necessary percentage. So I want to walk you through the settings menu because I think by walking you through the settings menu, you'll get a really good feel for how this tool works. All right, let's say I have 10 stocks that I want to follow. I'm going to double click on this line and make sure I have those exact 10 stocks entered. So symbol 1 is Apple. The weight is 10%. Symbol 2 is Tesla. The weight is 10%. Now keep in mind, all of these symbols are fully customizable. So you can see here I have STNE, that's called Stone. It's a international payments company. I'm actually going to switch this symbol out. So I just click just like that. And I want to add Proto Labs, which is a 3D printer company I've been looking at. So I'm going to add PRLB. Now I'm going to click OK, and the line recalculates. You probably saw it disappear and now recalculate. And I can see now it's PRLB. So now it's taking these 10 symbols and generating this line. What's really cool about this feature is you can get a feel about how specific symbols are moving in the aggregate. Look at this down move. You can just get a feel for every symbol being impacted fairly greatly since July. Look at the down move. Now, what's also cool about this tool, it's why I call it Make Your Own Index, is that you can add specific weightings to the index. So the way to think about this is imagine you have $100 to invest. Okay, you've got $100 to invest. What percentage of that $100 do you want to allocate to each company in this specific index? So as you can see here, 10%, 10%, 10%, 10%. When you add it all up, it's going to equal 10%. So it takes the price of Amazon, the price of Google, price of Tesla, and it takes 10% of that and adds it into the entire index. Now, another really helpful thing is that you can change these numbers. So if you want Apple to be 90% of the portfolio, and then let's do everything else at 1%. So let's do Apple's 90% and everything else is 1%. So let's just go to 1%. Let's keep going, 1%. 1%, 1%. Now keep in mind, this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Let's change this back to 1. And then there's 9. So 9, as you know, plus 90 is 99%. So theoretically, the remaining 1% is in cash. Doesn't really move much at all. We click exit, and now we're mostly just looking at a chart of Apple with the influence of these 9 other stocks, potentially improving the index that much more. Now, you have the capability to do this, by the way. All you have to do is add this indicator to your account. It's free, it's open source, and make the customizations as you see fit. I think personally what's really cool is to add the 10 symbols that matter most to you and give them weightings that are actually pretty close to get a feel for how they're doing. I'm going to do 10%, I'm going to do 5%, I'm going to do 10%, I'm going to do 25%, I'm going to do 5%. And here's another 10%, and let's do another 5%, and let's do another 5%, and we're at 5, 10, 20, 25, 50, 60, 65, we're at 75%. So we're at 75% with 2 symbols left to go. So why don't we do 20% here to get us to 95%, and then 5% takes us to 100. So 100% of our allocation now has been weighted across all of these symbols, and look at the difference in the portfolio. You can even see this arrow we drew. Remember how it looked before? Or go back in time on the video and look at it now. Because we've reweighted all the symbols, so they're going to have fundamentally different calculations on this chart. We can now track all of these symbols over time. For me, this is a ridiculously important tool as I manage my own portfolio or specific investments I'm watching. I can add in the 10 symbols that are relevant to me at any point in time and track them. I can even create alerts if I wished. So I could, for example, across these 10 symbols, add this horizontal line. Maybe it's a support zone. Right click. I could add an alert on this line. So it even says your index. Here's my index. I can add an alert on this index and get alerted when something happens. So for me, at least, ridiculously powerful tool to track the symbols I care about in a specific weighted way. So I just wanted to introduce you to this tool so you know why it matters and how it works. And also I'm just going to double click again to open up the settings menu because I want to walk you through a few key things. There's the index up color, which is blue, the index down color, which is purple, and you also have the capability to create custom gradients as well. So when the index is moving upward in upward fashion, it's blue. When it's moving downward, it's purple. You can customize this to maybe to be more traditional, such as green and red. I don't really love that because it just reminds me actually too much of Christmas, quite frankly. I prefer to use colors that don't influence my decision making. So I'm just going to make this go back to how it was. You can also take that a step further and add these custom gradients. So you could have multiple different colors. And these gradients are essentially for you to make the selling or buying more intense by combining two colors together. So gradient up color 1, that's the most powerful. Let's make it that blue. Gradient up color 2, let's make it teal. Gradient down color 1, that's sort of the most powerful. Let's make it that red. Gradient down color 2, let's make it this bright red. Now let's click OK, and you can see here we've created a more custom color visual to get a sense of the extreme movements of the index by coloring two specific price movements on the index line. Also, if you do double click on this, there's a few more key features that I think are important. As mentioned, show price table. It's off by default. I personally love to show the price table, so I always see what 10 symbols are in my index. And also, if you go to style, there are some other customizations where you can change the line thickness. You can see the line changing here. You can also change things like your labels on checking these different boxes. And you can also change the visibility depending on what time frame you're looking at. But nonetheless, the point of this video was to introduce you to my Make Your Own Index tool so that you know how to create a custom index on TradingView to follow 10 specific symbols or a custom amount just like this. Give them specific weightings and get started. I'll provide some future examples in upcoming videos, but this video was just meant to kick this off and so that everyone who watches my channel knows about the tools I'm creating, that they're free and open source. So thanks for watching.